to the Harris Made Chef Services Tailgate Show.
All right, well, here we are, everybody. Our long national nightmare is over, and we are about, I'd say about 45 minutes from game time. It's your boy MC and the beard behind the board here on the first Harris Made Chef Services Tailgate Show. Jesse, how you doing, man?
Doing good. I am ready for some football. It has been too long,
Yes.
and with an opponent like UAPB, we're going to have at least one good night, I think.
Yeah, as long as nobody melts in the stadium right now, I think we'll come out of tonight with a dub on all the way around. I was coming home from work just a few minutes ago, and you know the little thermometer that's on your radio. You know, when you first get in your car and get it cranked up, it's a little accelerated of what you would expect the outside temperature to be. So I give it a good 5 or 6 minutes before I actually took a good hard look at it and with a realistic eye, and it dropped from 103 to 101, and then when it hit 101, man, it just stabilized. So it is hot here in the NEA. I'm sure it's just as hot, if not a little hotter, at War Memorial Stadium because you've got all that concrete around the stadium, and then that turf is known for basically being a heat accelerant as well. So I'd made a tweet earlier today about, I was like, okay, who's got the picture of the thermometer down at field level? Because you know somebody's going to post that, but sometime between now and kickoff.
Oh, yeah. I was browsing Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I was browsing that before we came on, and I think I seen that the current temp was like 96 in North Little Rock, and all the rain was going to stay south, which that's a double-edged sword. You wouldn't mind cooling down, but all that rain, that would just turn that into a giant sauna, like you were saying earlier.
That would, if things could possibly get worse, I can think of two ways that it could possibly get worse. One would be a certain type of delay that we're not going to talk about that generally comes along with these little pop-up showers in the summertime. And the other one would be for it to rain and then not cool off and everything just become very steamy and make everybody way too moist. So, you know, and I know people that hate that word and just cringed when I said it, but that's why I said it. So, but either way, Razorback Zach has been out there tailgating all day long. I don't know how the man has not melted because
I feel for him.
You want to see what kind of diehard man Razorback Zach is. The man's been out there since the gates opened at 7 or 7:30 this morning, whatever it was. And he and Chef James Harris were out there hamming it up with the tailgaters and having a good time as long as they could stay. I don't want to say they could stay cool. I want to say they could stay tolerable because I don't know that there is any staying cool in regards to tailgating right now. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's you know, I've talked to some friends of mine that have been in the coaching profession before, and I've talked to them. I was like, man, what do you get out of games like this? You know, and it's just, you know, you want to come out of it with nobody getting hurt. First off, that's the big
most
thing.
importantly, no injuries.
Yeah, and we still got a couple of guys who are available but not going to play tonight. One on the offensive line, and then Andrew Armstrong. Arguably your top returning wide receiver. Coach Pittman said he would be available, but probably won't play. I say don't play him. Let him get fully 100% and be ready for Stillwater next week because, I mean, let's face it, we're going to need him more in that game than we will tonight. So it's always nice to get out there and get some chemistry early on, but I don't think you risk it, man. I think if there's anybody at all that's questionable, you let them sit tonight. You know, get all their kinks out from little bumps and bruises that could have been through practicing, and then you get everybody ready for next week in Stillwater because that's a big one.
Oh, yeah. That game's going to be huge for really gauging the talent level. I don't think it'll be like we kind of talked on last night's show. I don't think it's really going to set the tone for the season.
Right.
But that'll be a good gauge of talent level. Last I heard, Kudus isn't playing tonight.
Yeah. Kudus. That was the guy I couldn't think of on the offensive line.
Yeah. That's one thing I'll be watching. I'll be looking at that offensive line, looking at technique,
Right.
looking at reads. That's something we can probably get a pretty good grasp on off of this game. They should manhandle them, but you can still identify bad technique and bad reads. Because a bad read doesn't matter how undermatched the other side is. You make a bad read and you leave a hole open to Taylon Green, and we don't need him taking shots.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to several years ago, a game I went to in Little Rock, game Arkansas ended up losing. But go back to what you were talking about there with the Louisiana Monroe game. Tyler Wilson, Hogs are up 28-7 in that. Tyler Wilson takes a shot, ends up concussing him, taking him out of the game, and it goes downhill from there along with the rest of the season. So you want to try to avoid Taylon Green. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, Taylon Green should not take a hit at all tonight unless maybe he's scrambling down the sideline and just gets bumped right before he goes out of bounds. But as far as taking one of those breakdowns in protection to where he's up in the pocket and just gets waylaid, you shouldn't see that tonight on for any reason, in my opinion.
And I think if we do see that tonight, we're going to get to see an angry Bobby Petrino on the sideline, because that's one thing that stood out to me. I think it was spring practice I heard about that clip, is he took a sack in spring practice, and Bobby got in his face and said, "We do not take sacks on my football field."
There we go. Pain does not exist in this dojo. One of those type statements. But I am, obviously everybody's ready to see the Bobby Petrino offense, but do you think this will resemble the Ryan Mallett, Tyler Wilson type offense that was just almost unstoppable at times from him when he was, from what we would call vintage Bobby Petrino? I mean, are we looking at that, or are we looking at maybe like a modified, up-to-date, if you will, type offense? Because let's face it, that was, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, actually, for Tyler Wilson, and 14 years ago for the late, great Ryan Mallett. So you got to figure there's some pieces of his offense that have changed. But I don't know, man. I still think at some point we may not see it tonight, but I think at some point you're going to see a wheel route. You're going to see Cowboy go get it. You're going to see some of those plays that when it happens, the diehard Hog fans are going to look at it and be, "Oh, I remember that. That's what Joe Adams scored on the 4th and 3." Or, there'll be things that stick out. I think tonight, once again, we talk about this every year in the season opener. You're going to get a vanilla playbook. You're going to get it scaled back. You don't want to show your cards. If you've got aces, you don't want to show them. And honestly, you shouldn't have to show them tonight. You should, and I don't mean any disrespect to UAPB at all, but let's call this what it is. This is a David and Goliath type game. And,
I mean, we're not going to see a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think for the offense this year, we'll kind of dive into that a little bit. I don't think we're going to see vintage Bobby. I don't think he has the same players. And I think Bobby Petrino is a smart enough and well-versed enough coach that he's not going to make the players fit his offense like the offensive coordinator from last year we're not going to talk about. I think he's going to look at the talent he's got on the field, look at what they're capable of, and he's going to build an offense to boost his players up and to capitalize on their talents. Just got a message from Razorback Zach. He does not have much signal there, so he's probably not going to be joining us today.
Fact that he's got battery after sitting out there in the heat all day is impressive to me, because my battery would have went long before my signal did if I'd have been out in the heat all day. So we'll just let Zach go and have a good time and try to stay cool out there and hydrated. And that goes for anybody that's out there tailgating right now that might be tuning in or listening to us. Stay hydrated, y'all. And I don't mean with the adult beverages. I mean, you got to remember to alternate. Water, adult beverage. Water, adult beverage. Otherwise, your night is not going to end like you want it to. So there's my dad statement. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk on that. But to get back to your point on the offense, I almost think what we see, at least early on in the season, will be more reminiscent of the offense we saw in Bobby's first year, in that he's playing the hand he's dealt. Like you were talking about, he's not trying to force the square peg into the round hole. He's taking what strengths he has and trying to cater the offense to them. I think you're going to see a heavy run game tonight with a few bombs thrown in. I'll say this. I will be shocked if the first play is not a deep pass. I think you come out, first play, deep pass. If you hit it, you score. If not, then we back up and we start trying to run the ball and just overpower. I don't know, man. There's just been too much said about, Taylor Green already knows the first. Bobby's already told him the first play he's going to run. And if you think back to when Petrino was here before and we had a Petrino ran offense, they were known to script out the first 10 to 15 plays way ahead of time and have it down pat. And then the rest of the game plan would go depending on how those first 10 or 15 plays went. So I think they've known for several days what they're going to do. I think you're looking probably, maybe play action over the top or just, sit back in the shotgun, maybe fake the handoff, play action out of the shotgun, and throw something deep. But I think you're going deep on the first play. What do you think?
That wouldn't surprise me to see a deep ball in the first play, probably to Satania to prove to UAPB that they can say whatever they want. Our receivers are faster than their DBs, and when their receivers get on the field, they're going to wish they hadn't said we were slow.
Yeah, that's
something else I want to see him see. I want to see some little slants, some little 5 to 12 yard completions. I really want to see a lot of them with Taylon's accuracy issues on the short passes, the pitch and catch. I want to see some of that tonight.
Yeah, I think that would be good to see because we did hear a little bit about in the spring that his deep ball was great, but his mid-range and short game, maybe lacked just a little bit of accuracy that you would want in an SEC quarterback. And, also, I hate to keep going back to this, but, if you look back, Bobby liked those crossing routes. He liked the slants. He liked the crossing routes.
Jarius Wright
across the middle on a crossing route was just, it was money every time it was going to happen. And so I figure we'll see some of that. And you know what? We haven't even talked about a huge weapon that's turning from last year, Luke Hawks.
Oh, yeah. And isn't Ty Washington back as well from his
Washington
injury?
Is back as well. And Ty was no slouch. It's just that Luke Hawks was so elite as a freshman that it kind of limited what Ty Washington got to do until Hawks got hurt. And then Washington made the most of the time he had before he got hurt.
Yeah, so we are stacked at tight end. I do believe that is SEC quality tight ends.
I would agree, yeah.
Quarterback remains to be seen. I think Quindon Jackson's going to be an SEC quality running back.
I think so, yeah.
Armstrong's proved he can be an SEC receiver. I think Broden steps up this year, so.
Yeah. One guy that hasn't gotten a lot of talk, Rashad DeBinion. I want to see what he can do. He was the one that come out and made a statement back when, like right after Rocket and KJ and those guys hit the portal. He come back and said, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. And kind of had some anti-transfer remarks, I guess is the best way to put it. So I think you've got kind of a thunder and lightning potential in the backfield with DeBinion and Jackson. I think Jackson is going to be if you remember Dennis Johnson, I could see him being a bigger version of Dennis Johnson, one of those guys that would almost rather run through you than to run around you. I'm anxious to see what Jackson can do because he comes from a solid program in the Utah Utes. So he's seen some big time competition. I'm really ready to see what he can do in this offense, and then also DeBinion. And it would not surprise me at all if we see Braylon Edwards pretty early tonight as well.
Isn't it Braylon Russell?
Braylon Russell, yeah.
I'm making sure I wasn't mixed
I've already put him in the pros,
there.
man. Braylon Russell, that's my bad. That was an old
getting back on
DeBinion.
I was disappointed last year. he had nowhere to run, and he's a back you've got to make holes for. But the year before, DeBinion showed a lot of promise in Kendall's final year. So I really think if our offensive line is making their reads, hitting their blocks, working together, I think we could have a very dynamic running back duo this year. It's just
so,
there's too many variables. There's a lot of unanswered questions. The same thing we've been saying for 4 weeks now. We don't know until we see.
Yeah, you don't know till you know. And I mean, it's, you know, I've harped on this continually, like you said, for 4 weeks. The offensive line, not just the play of the offensive line, the chemistry of the offensive line, the chemistry between the offensive line and the quarterback. Because let's face it, there was no chemistry last year between those two positions. You know, a lot of variables went into that. You know, there's no point in wasting time on it here. We all know what happened there. It's over with. I want to see that team chemistry. You know, if something happens and Taylor Green does get, you know, let's say he does get knocked down after a pass or something, I don't want to see an offensive lineman just turn around and look at him and be like, hey, man, you all right? I want to see a couple guys go over and pick him up and say, hey, man, my bad. You know, we won't let that happen again. You know, we did not see that last year, and I think that played a huge role in the success of the offense.
I want to see some offensive linemen get in some defenders' faces if they make a questionable hit on the quarterback, too.
Absolutely. Yes.
I don't want to start fights like we did with Mizzou, and I still think Mizzou had a lot to do with that. But I don't want to see fights, but I want to see linemen taking up for their quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that was sorely missed last year as well. And because I remember sending texts mid-game to Zach and to a few others, and I'm like, you know what? My quarterback's getting hit like that. I'm not taking that very well, and I'm letting dude know he better not do that again. But we just, like I said, it goes back to that chemistry issue, and we didn't see it, man. We just didn't see it last year. I don't know. Well, that's one of the many questions that we got to have answered tonight. So, hey, Jesse, let's do this. Let's go ahead and step aside for just a quick break to give a little love to Chef James Harris and Harris Made Chef Services for sponsoring our tailgate show tonight. And then when we come back, I'm going to get into, like I said earlier, I talked to some friends of mine that were coaches. I'm going to get you their input on what they said you can look for specifically on games like tonight. So you're watching the Harris Made Chef Services tailgate show for the Pine Bluff game. We'll be back right after this.
Chef James Harris is the go-to for our catering needs at Inside the Hog Pit, and he should be yours as well. Whether it's tailgating, a wedding celebration, or a simple Wednesday night meal that you don't have to prepare, Chef James builds the platform for an incredible dining experience. And with a wide variety of styles and influences, you can be sure Chef will have the menu ready for whatever your needs are. Oh, and by the way, fellas, looking for a romantic date idea? Chef James offers private chef services as well. Think about it. Just you, your significant other, and a beautifully prepared meal all in the comfort of your own home. Check out Harris Made Chef Services now on Facebook at Harris-Made, or give Chef a call at 609-816-5629 to discuss your culinary needs.
All right, here we are. We're back for the second segment of our Harris Made Chef Services. I got to learn to say that a little better so it rolls off my tongue. Harris Made Chef Services tailgate show. You got the beard behind the board, Jesse Thurman, and your boy MC here. Hey, I want to jump on a couple comments here before we go back to what I teased right before the break. Loki DeWitt says, it is finally time. Woo, pig suey. Finally time indeed. It has been a long time coming. And look who's back. Savage Sarah Vogel making an appearance after, an uninterrupted, what feels like 3-year tour of Europe, Scandinavia, and the subcontinent. And she asks if it's basketball season yet. It is not, but basketball season is. Look, it'll be here quick enough. I promise you, Savage. And that's when y'all going to have to, take me and Savage both and just tell us, hey, give us a Xanax or something and calm us down, because I'm going to be very hype for hoops. Oh, we got a little breaking situation here. Razorback Zach.
Looky there.
How about that? Live at War Memorial Stadium. What's up, Z?
Hold on, fellas.
All right, we're gonna let you get things straightened out. Yeah, he's trying to. Man, that signal is struggling there. But you know what? If it's struggling that bad, maybe that means there's a lot of people going to show up for the game. All right, Z.
All right, are we here? Do you have me?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear, buddy.
What's up, dude? It took forever to get a signal out to you guys for this, but There's actually a pretty decent contingency of fans out here today. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's hot. Holy hell, it's hot. I'm going to go ahead and say this once. I've been to medical one time.
Yeah.
I got a little too hot, but I've been drinking water. I sucked down all 6 of my liquid IVs in a matter of about 2 hours. So,
Mercy.
But hey, I'm standing right outside of Gate 9 of War Memorial Stadium. If you can see behind me, that is the Razorback bus. But good contingents of fans out here, to be honest with you. I'd say 30, 40,000 at the most right now. Tailgating happened was pretty good. Big thank you to everybody that came out. I know there's videos of me dancing out there with a towel on my head, or I've yet to confirm or deny that's actually me.
So for anyone who might have those videos inside the
James Harris of Harris Made Chef Services has already put those out on Facebook and has tagged myself and the page.
All right.
I am terrified. But it's been an excellent day out here. Big thank you to Tracy and Mark. Big thank you to our number one fan, Casey, who is here with Mama Linda. I tried to get her on the pregame show, but where we were, signal was not working. But hey, I got to tell y'all, thank God Razorback football is back.
Yep. Now, if we can just get the weather to calm down a little bit and get Mother Nature to just chill a tad.
I'll be honest with you, MC. For a while, the wind was blowing, and it didn't feel too terribly bad out here. Now, we've got one of those little fans that's got the mister on it. And if you missed if you guys missed the Harris Made Chef Services tailgate party, y'all missed out. I'm just going to tell you. We ate good.
I saw the food y'all had, and that looked good.
We are attempting to try to, and I don't want to put James on the spot, but we are trying to put one together for Fayetteville this year.
Nice.
And he has made one request as our sponsor, that all 5 of us, all 6 of us, be in attendance. We're looking at you, MC.
Oh, putting the pressure on. Wow.
Looking at you, dude. Looking at you.
I'll have to see if we can work that out.
Razorback football's back. I'm standing upright, thankfully. But, hey, thank you guys for holding it down. Thank you guys to everybody for being such great fans of ours. You guys did a fantastic job from what I heard about holding it down. I'm currently waiting on – I got to show you guys this, by the way, if I can. Let me see if I can figure this out here. I don't know if I can switch this camera around, but we're going to do our best. Walk with me.
Okay. Let's see what we got here.
Try the double tap like Sarah said earlier. She's one of the younger generation. She usually knows that stuff.
Now, look, y'all know I'm not as tech savvy as she is, but I'm going to try to flip around here. And all this behind me is auction stuff.
Oh, looky there.
So check this out. This is what I want. Oh, let's see if I can get down here to this thing.
Gotta have the old man grunt when you bend down there.
Hey, I'm getting old. Let's see it. Are y'all seeing this?
Oh, I see that. Yep, I see that.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
I told you I'm not real tech savvy with this thing. So, but man, I tell you, it's by the way, let me flip this around. We got a couple of fans of ours, and I'm gonna look a little short compared to this guy, but this is, let me get out of the way here. This is Tracy and Mark.
They call me
Hey. What's up, y'all?
So we're going to try to make our way into the stadium. It's a little chaotic.
Yeah.
The way they have this, let me get back over here so I can be having the crowd here.
So
the way they have this.
Go ahead. You were about to say it.
No, the way they have this laid out is a little bit different than what used to be at Razorback games.
Right.
They've got a fenced-off area right here between gates 9 and 10 over here by the press box. I don't know exactly why it's gated off because there's nothing back there. But it just says credential access when closed. So I'm going to guess that you have to have some sort of a pass.
Yeah. Is that over there close to the elevator that goes up to the press box?
I'm around the corner from the press box.
Okay.
So big thank you to Paul Anthony for gifting these tickets to me and allowing 2 special fans to come hang out with us. How much was it? Okay, 20 minutes. Big thank you to Paul Anthony for gifting these tickets. I'm gonna get out of the Y'all couldn't take a picture. I'm doing a live shot. Sorry. But gate 10, the press box gate is where our passes are. We're in section 25, right underneath the press box, right about the 45-yard line.
Okay, well, you're gonna have pretty good seats then.
Sorry,
hey Zach, Loki wants to know what kind of Little Debbie did they give you?
You know what, dude? They did not give me any kind of Little Debbie, and I'm a little disappointed. And I didn't get my juice box either, MC.
Yeah. Wow.
But then again, I didn't get my nap either, my mid-afternoon nap, so there's that too.
Yeah. Well, if you don't take a nap, you can't have your juice box.
Well, that's not the way I play this game.
It's like the Pink Floyd song. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?
Yes, I 100% agree. But, yeah, for the most part, it's been a good day.
Cool.
If the temperature had dropped just maybe 10 more degrees, I think we'd be just fine out here.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Hey, I'm glad you got enough signal for a little bit to check in with us because we were kind of curious as to.
I'm going to try it again once I get into the stadium.
Good luck, brother.
I will be. If not, I will be getting live video and be sending it to you guys to try to get uploaded as soon as humanly possible.
Okay.
But I make no guarantees at this point. It looks like everybody's well hydrated, except for yours truly. But don't tell anybody I said that. So we are going to try to make our way into the stadium. I got about 15 minutes before kickoff. So y'all have fun. Go Hogs. And by the way, I saw a guy with a Texas hat on today, and I told him I would do this live on my show. Texas.
There you go. Hey, be sure and yell louder during the first hog call.
You better believe it. And I'm sitting just below the press box. So
Okay.
You will hear it. You
right.
will hear me. I guarantee it.
All right. Hey, buddy, get in there in the stadium, get your seat, and we'll hold this down and wrap this up so we can get our meals and stuff ready to go as well.
Hey, I just got one thing to say. Go Hogs.
There you go.
Go
Later,
Hogs.
guys.
All right, see you, Zach.
Later, Zach.
How about that? We did get an appearance from Razorback Zach after all. I was skeptical, man. I wasn't sure the signal was going to hold up. When you get that many people congested in a short area like that, man, the signals can go bonkers at times. So,
Them towers get overworked and
yeah,
it gets chaotic. But looks like he's having a good time. Doesn't look like he's too terribly dehydrated. So,
yeah. Well, I was concerned, man, because I started seeing temps earlier today, and I'm like, man, that's just. I mean, this is the old man in me coming out. I'm like, man, it's too daggum hot for that. So, hey, we're getting close to kickoff, like Zach said, and I got a couple things here that I want to throw in, and we'll kind of use this to kind of put a bow on our first Harris Made Chef Services pregame tailgate show. I had mentioned earlier in the show that I talked to a couple friends of mine that used to be in high school coaching. They're not college coaches; they're high school coaches. And so I was explaining to them they're not Arkansas fans. So that is another perspective that I wanted, somebody that's a little unbiased in an outsider's viewpoint, so to speak. One's a Tennessee fan, one's an Ole Miss fan. And so I was asking them, I was like, okay, my Hogs play Pine Bluff tonight. Usually there's not much good that comes out of these games, but what should we be looking for beyond the obvious of just, scoring plays or whatever? And the coach that's a Tennessee fan, first thing he said, blown assignments on the offensive line and the secondary in particular. He said the Hogs are going to win because they have much better players, but if there are unblocked rushers, defensive line or blitzes, or wide open receivers, which means a coverage bust, he said those are going to be huge red flags when it comes SEC time. So,
because and I kind of hit on that a little earlier with the offensive line. If you can't handle your business against a SWAC team, you don't stand a chance against real competition.
So we got that perspective, and then the Ole Miss fan that's a friend of mine. I know Ole Miss fan and friend, usually those don't go in the same sentence, but I do make exceptions to the rule every now and then. Here's what he had to say. He said, watch how your new quarterback handles his new teammates. Watch the offensive line to see their size and how long they can hold their blocks for. For that matter, you should look at the size of both your offensive and defensive line. How does the size match up against other SEC teams in the trenches? I'm sure that y'all skill players will be more than adequate, but the lines have to match up. And then he goes on to say that's what he's going to be looking for in Ole Miss's game on Saturday. And I don't even know who they play, but it's somebody of roughly the same caliber, I'm sure.
they didn't get a marquee week 1 matchup this year.
No, and I'm surprised by that. I kind of expected, with all the hype around them, that they would have gotten one of these made-for-TV matchups.
I did too. Them and Mizzou both, and both of them are kind of in the same boat as Arkansas is.
Yeah. So
something else that we need to watch for, MC, we need to watch for dumb penalties.
Oh, my God, yes. How did we overlook that? Because
there's going to be some first game jitters, but if we make some stupid penalties, that's going to be big red flags, and we're going to see how the coaching staff addresses it before next week.
Well, and the first couple series, I'll give them a mulligan on that. You know, you got your first game jitters. It's hot. You know, you're trying to lock in and concentrate. I'll give them the first couple series. But if we get into the third quarter and your ones and your twos are still making, you know, false starts or, you know, jumping off sides or just, like you said, dumb penalties, if those are still happening into the third quarter, then we might have some issues. So one other thing that I heard on the radio on the way home, they were talking about, I was listening to the pregame show, the Razorback pregame show, and they were talking about the kickers. Matthew Shipley, and I cannot remember the other guy's name, but another guy that came in off the transfer. But Shipley is expected to get the first extra point attempt and field goal attempt, but they said that he doesn't have it sewn up. And this was Rick Schaefer and Phil Elson and those guys, and talking about that tonight would probably still be an extension of the competition to see who's going to be the kicker going forward.
They did not look very good in the spring.
No, I mean, even Rick Schaefer said that the kickers looked awful in the spring. And how bad do you have to be for Sunshine Rick to say they looked awful?
You got to be pretty rough. That'd be like me out there trying to kick again.
Yeah. Well, and we took that for granted for the last 3 years because of Cam Little and him being virtually automatic when he lined up for a field goal or an extra point or whatever. But I would like to see one of those guys. I'd like to see an attempt of a field goal of a 35-plus tonight. You know, if it gets to the point where it's going to look like we're rubbing salt in the wound if we go for it on fourth, line him up. Let him throw one up there and see what happens. Because, you know, things are different. When the lights go on and the TV cameras are on, it's a whole different ballgame from being in practice.
Oh, yeah, there's some jitters there that you can't prepare for.
Right.
Even if it's only 30,000 screaming fans, you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of 30,000 people and all your teammates.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, it's not going to be fun when you go back to the film room to look at film and just rewind, hit and play, and you're watching that over and over and over, and he's pointing out every little thing you did wrong. You want to try to avoid that. So hopefully no jitters on the kicks tonight. Well, Jesse, I think we can put a wrap on this.
The gremlins are starting to get in the technology, so let's go ahead and wrap this thing up so we can get settled in and watch some Razorback football.
There we go. All right, we've made it through the first one. Post-game to be determined whether it'll be tonight or tomorrow night. We've got, you know, it just kind of depends on how the game goes and how Zach can get out and everything. One last final score prediction for you, Jesse, before we get out of here.
I'm going to stick, I think I said 42-6. I'm going to stick with that. I want that payout.
Yeah, I hear you, brother. I think I did 45-6, so that's still underneath the threshold that I need it to be. So, hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. ESPNU here in about 11 minutes by my watch. The broadcast should be beginning. And watch our social media later tonight, and then we're going to throw out the post to let you know when the post-game show, the Alan Kerr Advisors post-game show, will be taking place. We're still trying to determine if we're going to do that tonight or if we're going to wait and gather our thoughts and do it tomorrow night. So for the beard behind the board, Jesse Thurman, this is your boy MC. Go Hogs. Let's go out there and get that first dub and nobody get injured. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for watching this episode of Inside the Hog Pen. Listen anytime on your favorite podcast provider. And be sure to follow us on all our social network channels.